A lot as a pastor, I'm able to see what a lot of people are facing and going through, whether it's young, old. I'm able to see how people have reacted to the pandemic, throughout these last couple of years, and how the pandemic has impacted people, whether negative or positive, and so I actually want to talk about how to get your passion back. I see a lot of people that lost their passion throughout this pandemic, and and then I was like, I didn't lose it, thankfully, because I kept connected to the source that gives me life, and the source that gives me strength, and the source that gives me a word, a fresh word every single day. And so passion is really connected to your enthusiasm. So I'm going to talk a lot about passion, but I'm really talking about enthusiasm. That's what it is. Enthusiasm. So there are two types of people in this world. Those that let the circumstances influence their passion, and those who let their passion influence the climate around them. Right? And so a lot of you that are here, you're actually the second type. You're actually influencing through passion and through enthusiasm those around you and the circumstances around you. Throughout this COVID season, some people lost their passion. They lost it. It like slowed. And we have seasons as well that, hey, we just feel low. We just feel like, hey, what happened? Like, my passion just feels low. I've been there. How many of you have been there? It's not like every day is like, yeah, gung ho, I'm ready to go for the day, right? There's days like, oh man, I don't feel it today. And there might be a season you're going through stuff, and you might have lost the enthusiasm, the passion, but you can regain it in life, and that's what I want to talk about today. But how do I know that I've lost my passion? Definitely, you might feel it, but in reality, is if you find yourself complaining a lot. And then specifically, if you've asked God for something and you find yourself already in it, but you're complaining on that very thing that God already has given you, or that He's put you in already, and you're complaining about it. God, you brought me to the U.S. I have prayed for that, but now I'm complaining about it. It's just an example. I'm not saying, right? I'm not picking on anybody here. And you find yourself very negative, with a lot of negativity. Then you've lost your enthusiasm, you've lost your passion. Or the pain, because sometimes we go through pain and suffering, right? Illness in our bodies, and we start complaining and we start focusing in on just that pain and suffering that we're going through. Then we've lost our enthusiasm and passion for life. And so I really want to talk about how to regain this passion and enthusiasm. And this is interesting. Enthusiasm, this word, is actually a component of two words in the Greek. Okay, so it's actually, and you can actually split it up here, but it's really two words. It's on theos. That's what this word is. On theos. And I don't know if I'll have I'll have this part here, but so it's on these two words. On theos, which literally means in God. Look at this. In God. Enthusiasm is in God, or to be filled with God. This is amazing. When I was studying this, I'm like, this is what enthusiasm is. To be filled with God, to be in God, right? So true enthusiasm is not something that we can work up within ourselves and try to motivate ourselves, but it is rather something that is built up by our daily connection with God. That's amazing. So that's how we can regain the passion back for the things in this life, for the daily things that we all face, for our future as well. It's like, hey, God's given me dreams. Don't let those dreams die out because you lost your passion. No, we continue in God every single day, and that's how we regain our passion. I need passion every single day. I need enthusiasm every single day. Every single morning that I get up, I need enthusiasm. Right? And not only because people are looking for it, but I need it personally, right? And me as a leader of my home, I need to show that enthusiasm to my children. And then me as a pastor, I need to show that enthusiasm to other people. Or wherever I find myself, whether I was a pastor or not, I need to show that enthusiasm wherever I go. The young ones here at school, hey, you can show that at school. You're passionate about life. And guess what? When you're an enthusiastic, passionate person, you are an attractive person to others. Like, hey, that person has something that I want. And I want to know what it is, and I want to be close to that person. And guess what it is? It's God in us. That's what it is. God in us. And so it is to be filled with God. There's 1 Corinthians 15:57. Let me read it to you here. 1 Corinthians 15:57. It says, "But thank God that He gives us victory over sin and death through our Lord Jesus Christ. Be strong and immovable." Here, look at this. "Whatever you do, always work enthusiastically in the Lord, for nothing you ever do for the Lord is ever in vain." And when I look at this verse, it says, whatever I work in, if you're an engineer, if you are a pastor, if you are a teacher, if you are a police officer, if you are a janitor, it says, whatever you work in, do it enthusiastically for the Lord. And nothing that you do is actually in vain. Whatever we're doing for the Lord, nothing is in vain. I tell people at my church, I tell them, hey, if God sends us to clean restrooms, I'm going to do it with passion. And I still do. Right? I still have to. And I say, why? Because I learned through this verse that whatever I'm doing, I'm going to do it passionately for the Lord. If I have to take out the trash, how many of you take out the trash? We all have to. Right? And there's sometimes complaining like, oh no, and I'll tell you because of my son, he's only on trash duty, every week. It's like you're on trash duty. You're gonna take out the trashes. You're gonna take out the big trash cans so the trash truck can pick it up, right? And there initially, it was like he wasn't very enthusiastic or passionate about it. And so I had to show him, hey, whatever you do it as for the Lord. And do it with enthusiasm and with passion. And you'll see that, hey, even a mundane task can become something awesome. Even whatever position you may find yourself in, if you do it with passion, you'll realize that it's a lot better done. You'll realize that it goes smoother, that it's better, that you actually will have joy with it. And so that's the beauty of doing things with enthusiasm and knowing that we're doing it for the Lord. And so it really is not what you do that makes it meaningful, right? But it is who you do it for. This is super important. It is not necessarily what you do, but who you do it for. Let me give you a little example, a personal example. So normally at night we have to lock the door, right? Pretty sure a lot of you lock your front door with the little lock. And there are times that, if I'm already in bed and my wife is coming in and she's all, oh, did you lock the front door? And I'm like, oh, I don't remember. And she's like, can you lock the front door? And I'm like, okay, but I'm already in bed. I'm cozy in bed. But you know what? I still will go and I will do it. Right? I get out of bed and I'll do it. And I won't be grudging and I won't be complaining about it. But I will go and lock the door because of who I'm doing it for. And whose safety I'm doing it for. And guess what? And she appreciates that. She's like, thank you so much for caring for us. Thank you so much for protecting us, for protecting her and the kids, for protecting our home. And so I realize if I do it with passion, it's not necessarily what the work is or what the job is, but it's really who I do it for that has a lot of meaning. And so it can be, like I had told you, whatever role, whatever job, whatever thing you're doing, if you do it with passion, as if doing it for the Lord, then you will find, here's what I've found when I've done this, is that whenever I do any type of passion, we all start from low. Nobody has a past at being like, hey, we're just going to throw you into leadership, or we're going to throw you into management, or we're going to throw you already up here. No, everybody starts from the bottom in this life. We all do. We all do. We start from the bottom, and then God, if you do things with enthusiasm, right, you add that into there, God promotes you supernaturally. It's amazing how he just keeps promoting us. People with passion and enthusiasm, you see that at workplaces, you see that in leadership, you see that in churches, you see it all over the place, and these people are attracting others. Why? Because God is in them. They're doing it with God in them. And so, it's important to have every single day do things with passion. Let me tell you a quick little example as well. So most of us probably go to Walmart, shop at Walmart, right? And so the Walmart greeters, which now they're not, back then they used to be older people, and now they're the young people mainly. And some of them don't have a lot of passion in what they do. It's like, I'm the one having to say, hey, how are you doing? Have a great day. Hey, with a smile. And hey, welcome. And I'm like, that's not passion. That's not enthusiastic. Right? For somebody to be at the front as a greeter. I found, there was one time that I found, how they have police officers now at the Walmart. I found a police officer had more enthusiasm to give me a greeting than some of these Walmart greeters. And I tell people this, and I told my wife, I was so amazed at this police officer, that he was had so much more enthusiasm and passion. And it showed, and I'm like, I want to highlight him, I want to highlight his enthusiasm and passion. It's different. It's something I was like, wow, that attracted me. I want to come to Walmart just to hear him. Just have a great day, have good shopping, and whatever else it is. Because he had enthusiasm in him. And we all can demonstrate that when we have God in us, right? And God working through us. Because this is built up daily through our connection with God. And so, whatever you are doing, do it for the Lord. And you will do it passionately and with enthusiasm. And we remember this verse. Whatever we do it enthusiastically for the Lord. And remembering that whatever you do, it's not being done in vain. There's a purpose to everything that we do. And so you can have spiritual enthusiasm and you can also lose it. You can have spiritual enthusiasm and you can lose it. And I was reminded of this story of David. So David was a shepherd boy who became king. Okay, shepherd boy down here becomes king. There was a whole process though in between. And a lot of years of waiting. A lot of years of preparation throughout. But he started as a shepherd boy, down at the bottom. And as a king, David was filled with enthusiasm. And as a king, somewhere along the way, he also lost this enthusiasm. I remember David's story when he was filled with enthusiasm, even as a shepherd boy. And in 1 Samuel 17:46, when he confronted Goliath, this is amazing. I love, that's one of my favorite stories, and probably a lot of people in the world know this story. The David and Goliath story. The giant versus little David, the shepherd boy. Right? And David, he is full of enthusiasm. Why? Because he had a connection with God. And I want to read 1 Samuel 17:46. Because this is what David says. Look at his passion and enthusiasm. Why? Because he was full of God. He had God inside of him. Right? He was on Theos. It says this day, this is David speaking to Goliath. Look at his enthusiasm and passion here. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hand, and I will strike you and take your head from you. And this day I will give the carcasses of the camp of the Philistines to the birds of the air and the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. Look at his words. That's amazing. That's somebody that has passion to what he's about to do. That's somebody who knows God, and that God is going to give him victory, from this giant. And I tell my kids, hey, if you want to see something glory, something like powerful, right? You don't have to go to the movies of today. No, I was like, you can see this. Just that statement there is like, hey, I'm going to chop off your head, and then I'm going to feed the Philistine army. I'm going to feed it to the birds of the air today. They're going to be feasting on you, on your bodies. And that, just take a mental picture of that. But anyways, that's his passion, David's passion, saying, hey, people are going to know who my God is. People are going to know who my Lord is, right? And he was full of passion for God and doing things for God. He had never slayed a giant. He had never done it. But he had, I'll tell you right now what he had done to prepare. And here's the key. I'm going to give you these three things. And these are quick, because I have a few other things to share. But the first one of how David was full of passion and enthusiasm is that he trusted God daily. He trusted God daily. Right? How could he fight a giant? God gave him the strength. And he trusted in God that he would win the battle. Right? Why? Because when he was a shepherd, he trusted also in God that if a bear would come after him or his sheep, he was able to kill that bear. And you know how big bears are when they stand up? They're huge. They're humongous. And so that was his training, but he trusted God because of his training ground down here. He was in training, but he had that trust. He trusted God on a daily basis. The second thing is that he walked with God daily. He walked with him daily as a shepherd boy. Right? Imagine him working with the sheep, but he's there every single day, knowing God, walking with God, knowing that God was always with him. Psalm 23 shows us that David walked with him on a daily basis. Look at this. Let me read you Psalm 23. It says, this is David, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me, that's David walking. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Why? Because you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So he walked with God daily. He connected to him daily. And then the third thing is this. He worshipped God on a daily basis. He worshipped God on a daily basis. When the Ark of the Covenant, if you all remember, the Ark of the Covenant came, he danced, like he said, hey, I'm going to take basically his kingly robes off, and he danced, it didn't matter who was around, it didn't matter what people were going to say. He said, I'm going to dance because my God is here. I'm so thrilled that he is here with us. I'm so excited and full of enthusiasm and passion to worship him. And it wasn't a once a week thing that happened in his life, right? And I tell people at churches, it's not just Sunday. It's not about Sundays, right? It's not about Sundays, and we have a Wednesday study as well. And I said it's not about Sundays and Wednesdays. It's about a daily walk with God. It's about a daily worship of him. right? And we cannot be with passion and on fire, enthusiastic for God and the things of this life if we're not having, our daily walk with Him, our daily trust in Him, daily worshiping Him, right? So it was a daily abiding in His presence that made a whole difference of enthusiasm in David's life. There are 2 seasons in his life where he had it, right? We see it when he was a shepherd boy down here, and then we see it as well when he was a king. I'll draw a little crown. So we see it, these 2 seasons. He was on fire. He was passionate. He was, full of God in him. But there was a season where he lost it. And so, that's why I tell you, there's seasons that we can lose it. There's seasons where I've seen how people have lost it. During the pandemic, here's what happened. Either people got more passionate for God, or they lost it. Mm-hmm. Why? Because they got so comfortable. And I'll go into that more, but it was like, well, it's comfortable here at home, or watching it online, and then little by little, they stop watching. I'll watch it later. Oh, I'll connect later. And so, little by little, guess what? They lost their passion. There was even studies done that show that people who remain strong emotionally and mental health during this pandemic were people who stayed connected to God, and that could have been, definitely it's on a personal level, but that also means that they kept attending and going to church, right? Staying connected to God through the Word of God that was given and through worship from the church. But those that didn't and disconnected, hey, they ran into doubts and fears in life, and because they weren't connected, they were not in God anymore. And so these are studies that were done, and I saw it firsthand. I saw it. I saw how the people that stayed connected, hey, they kept on fire. They kept going. They kept enthusiastic. It's like, hey, we're going to survive this. We're going to go through this. We're going to come out stronger through this. And those that didn't, they ran into the fears of it. Right? It's like, oh, what's coming next? I can't go out of my house. Stuff can happen. It's like, okay, you're going to have to come out eventually. Right? And so that's the big difference with somebody who walks in enthusiasm and somebody who does not. David lost it when he took his eyes off of God. He lost his enthusiasm. So David, look at this. He actually should have been in battle in one of those seasons. He should have been in battle, and he didn't go to battle. Rather, he climbed up his rooftop and put his eyes on someone. Right? And he did horrible things that not only affected his personal life, it affected a lot of other people when that could have all been avoided if he would have been doing and being in what he was called to do. Right? And then if he would have been enthusiastic, obeying God and in God, right? But no, and that's where he lost his passion. And things happened in his life. And he was, you could tell he was just out of it after that. He was out of it. The good thing is he repented and he gained his passion back. So here's what happened. He climbed up to the roof, did something he shouldn't have. And it happened when he stopped being with God daily. Here's a nice saying. He said, as a kid, he ran into battle to serve his God. But as a king, with apathy, David walked on the roof to serve his comfort. Look at this. When he was passionate for God, he ran into battle. It's like, hey, this giant, he's going down. But as a king, he got comfortable. He got comfortable in life. Yeah, I'm not going to battle today. I'll let them take care of it. I'll just go up to the roof and see what I can see from here. And he got comfortable in the things of God. He took his eyes off of his calling and put it on his comfort. Right? And maybe we tend to do that as well. Right? If we're not careful, we can get comfortable in this life. Right? So which one best represents you? Are you full of enthusiasm? Or did you lose it? Are you complacent? Right? Are you charging into spiritual battle, knowing God is with you, that He will never leave you or forsake you? Right? And that you're every single day in the present. How we learn right now, we're on our calling. We're looking for the future. Hey, but we're working on something every single day. Or have you drifted off into comfort? I'll get to that later. Oh, this is more comfortable here. Right? And so COVID caused these two extremes. It caused these two things. Those that are following daily with enthusiasm after God, and then the other extreme of comfort. Comfort in life. And so I've learned this, that we don't naturally drift into discipline. I don't know if you've noticed, but we don't naturally, you wake up and naturally you drift towards discipline, towards health, right? Towards being healthy, towards good decisions, right? It doesn't naturally happen for anybody.